Miss Bobbie. I adored my mother-in-law. She was a gift.
Okay, Bobbie.
We're rolling?
Oh, yes, Bobbie.
Yes, Bobbie. Rodney, welcome to Texas.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
This movie, Mad Hot Ballroom. Mm-hmm. First of all, tell me how the title came about.
It's interesting. The original title they were thinking of was Same Old Song and Dance. But what happened is there's a scene in the movie where two of the young ladies from the Washington Heights School where I had the privilege of teaching, they're walking down the street and they're talking about what their favorite dance is. And one of the girls says it's the merengue because it's mad hot, which is sort of, slang for great, And the producers loved it so much that they figured Mad Hot Ballroom was a little bit more appropriate.
Yes, once you get the alliteration right, it's marvelous.
Yes.
Now, are you a full-time teacher at Washington Heights?
I'm not a full-time teacher there. I'm actually a teaching artist with the American Ballroom Theater. And American Ballroom Theater has, for the last 10 years, done the Dancing Classrooms program in New York City public schools. So there are about 20 or 25 teaching artists, and we get dispatched to the various schools around the city.
Now, these children who come into it, you call them ladies and gentlemen,
That's
and
right.
I'm calling them children.
Uh-huh.
But these students, do they come voluntarily?
The students are selected, they're selected by their principals and teachers. Basically, in most of the schools, classes are selected, whole classes are selected by principals, teachers, and arts coordinators to participate in the program, depending on how many classes a school will elect to take on. At PS 115, they have sort of a slightly different arrangement. They make ballroom dancing sort of an elective. So ballroom dancing is sort of one of 5 or 6 arts creative type of classes that they can take. And in 3 years, this is the 3rd year that ballroom dancing is at PS 115, it is now the largest class, and it's sort of one of the most popular. There's a waiting list now to get into ballroom dancing class. So it speaks to the popularity of it.
The kids who are into sports, do they look upon the ballroom dancing as kind of that sissy, artsy thing, or how?
The first year was sort of an experiment, but now what's beautiful about ballroom dancing is in many of these schools there is now developing what we call a ballroom culture, and it's rivaling that of sort of the sports and athletic teams. When we go to the competitions, for instance, there are kids cheering. I mean, as if they were at a basketball game. They're cheering, and they have slogans, and they have T-shirts, and they sort of really rally behind their ballroom dancing teams, just as they would a sports team. So it's really cool.
How does the ballroom dancing affect them as students and as just kids?
Ballroom dancing sort of gets them excited about coming to school. We found anecdotally that on the days that there's ballroom dancing, attendance goes up. The kids get excited about coming to school. They get excited about participating in something that's fun, that's social, and it really is not a competitive venue. Although there is competition at the end among schools, the actual classes themselves are not really set up as competitive enterprises. They're just sort of cooperative learning, where boys and girls get to sort of learn to work with each other socially, gracefully. We insist on calling them ladies and gentlemen because that's what we believe that they are. And they have to walk in and out of the room in escort position and all of these things that are that really teach the social graces. And we think that it gives them the opportunity to sort of be a little bit more mature. And whenever the kids get that opportunity, they really sort of take to it.
Now, are all of them in this movie 11-year-olds?
Most of the children in the movie are sort of in the 10, 11 year old range. Some may be a little bit older, like 12, but most of them are around 10 or 11 because the program is geared towards 4th and 5th graders.
It was interesting to me to see the different kinds of children. For instance, I remember one girl was very tall and probably under other circumstances might have felt very just out of place with the boys who were much shorter. And another young man was chubby and could just dance his little buns off, you know.
Right. That's right. That's right. What's great about this particular program, and what's great about ballroom dancing in general, is we call it sort of an equalizer. You don't have to be the best academic child. You don't have to be the most athletic child. You don't have to be necessarily gifted in one thing or another. What you have to do is work hard, listen to the music, work on the rhythm, and just sort of have fun and relax and have fun with it. And what we find is that the children really, after a few lessons, after a few weeks of taking the ballroom dancing, most of them really start to work with each other, and things that may have caused divisions really don't anymore, at least within the context of the ballroom dancing. They go off and they're still kids when they leave, and they still have cooties and they still push each other around, but for those 45 minutes that we have them in ballroom dancing class, it's really sort of a different environment, so kids really get to work together.
Are the kids all, when they're selected, are they all, you know, good kids, or do you have some kids who have been in trouble?
We have children in the classes who just sort of come from all different places in their lives and in their schooling. We have the kids who are the straight A students and who don't cause any problems. We have the kids who go to detention once or twice a week. It's a little bit of everything. We feel that it's important for as many kids as possible, regardless of sort of where they're at in their development, to participate in this at some point, because we find that sometimes those kids who maybe are causing a disturbance in school, either in their classrooms or what have you, this is an opportunity for them to shine and to be good at. Because it's not that they don't have talent. It's not that they're not smart. It's not that they don't. They maybe haven't found that thing that they're good at yet, or they haven't had somebody tap into that. And so some of the and the film does a really good job of making this point. Some of the kids who otherwise are troublemakers or what have you, they really sort of calm down, they settle down in ballroom dancing, and it opens the door for them to excel at something else. And that's really a gift.
For you as the dance instructor, what's the joy of this?
The joy of being a dance instructor in this program is seeing a change. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough to know that you're making an impact. It's only 10 weeks. It's only 20 lessons over 10 weeks, but you see young boys and girls who maybe at the beginning of the program are pushing and shoving each other, most of the time because they just sort of like each other. They don't want to admit it, but that's really the truth. But they sort of push and shove each other. Maybe they're not as courteous. Maybe they're not as gentle or considerate. And at the end of 10 weeks, at least within the context of ballroom dancing, they're sort of a little more, they're calmer. The gentleman won't necessarily push and shove the girl, tap her on the shoulder or whatever. They'll talk nicer to each other. And just to see that change. I'm not as concerned about their dancing skill. Whether they dance again or not is irrelevant. But what's important is that they get some sort of life skill and some sort of social skill out of the process. And if we can get kids excited about coming to school for 2 days out of the week, well, that's great, and that'll hopefully impact the rest of the school week.
Is there any idea that this might go beyond New York City?
Well, we hope so. The folks at American Ballroom, including Pierre Dulaine, the gentleman who began the program 10 years ago, he's looking at ways to sort of replicate and expand this to other cities. So if people are interested in finding out how they can bring this into their own school system, they should definitely contact American Ballroom in New York, and they can give you sort of the information that they need to do that.
Very good. Rodney, thanks for working us into your schedule, your hectic schedule
well,
today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we'll be sure to give everybody all the particulars about when Mad Hot Ballroom opens in this area.
Go see it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Now just stay where you are. It's going to move the camera around. Okay. How are these students selected?
The students are basically chosen based on the classes that they're in.
Okay, that's fine. Do they choose only the good students and not choose kids who might be troublemakers?
All of the students are sort of get to participate in this process.
Um, for you as the dance instructor, what's the joy of doing this?
The joy is getting to see the kids grow.
Okay. Let's see. The kids who are into sports, do they look upon the ballroom dancing as that sissy, artsy stuff?
No, these students actually come to appreciate ballroom dancing for what it is.
Okay. Okay. How does the ballroom dancing change the kids?
They turn from little kids to ladies and gentlemen. That's really what happens.
I didn't ask you this, but go ahead and I'll give a full answer to
Okay.
this one. Okay. Do the schools resent your coming in there with the film crew and everything?
The schools were very supportive. The schools and the Board of Education in New York, because there was a big approval process that had to happen in New York. But once everybody knew what was going on, the students really sort of took to it, and within a couple of lessons just sort of forgot that the cameras were there. And that's what's great about this film is that you really see what a real class is like. The kids just sort of you're like a fly on the wall, and there really is no pandering to the camera. There's no acting. It's just sort of the real stuff of what's happening in these classes. So I think it really wasn't an intrusion at all.
Is this only in New York City?
Right now it's only in New York City, but we're looking for ways to expand the program.
If a school outside of New York City was interested in having this program, what would they do?
If somebody outside of New York would like to bring it into their school system, they can contact American Ballroom Theater in New York.
Okay, all right, that should take care of us.
Cool.